Hi, my name is Erin Cawley. I am currently working on my MAT in Secondary Social Studies. I am observing this semester and doing my student teaching next semester at Wakefield High School with honors civics and a sociology class. The book I chose was Why Didn't I Learn This in College? Teaching and Learning in the 21st Century by Paula Rutherford. This book is not solely for secondary social studies or the subjects I intend to teach. I find it very helpful for all new teachers or veteran teachers. There's information in it that can help anyone struggling with classroom management or most of my previous research has been about interdisciplinary education and how to make a classroom work no matter what the subject or the student. Because of this, I selected this book because it covers topics and strategies for all classrooms and all learners. Thus, we as teachers can be prepared for any type of classroom. The main focus of this book really is that students are learning in the most effective and engaging ways possible. As teachers, our focus should be on that, and that learning is more important than strictly managing a classroom. Management can really come from focused learners and active engagement rather than being on the classroom authoritarian. If students are more focused on learning, they won't be as focused on misbehaving or what you're doing as far as the rules go. So there are 4 main points of focus throughout the book, and those are knowledge of content, skills for design, making learning active, and organizational skills. First, with knowledge of content, seems pretty basic, but with all the theories and strategies, instructional methods that we as first year teachers are being taught all the time, and veteran teachers are getting caught up in as well. Knowledge of content sometimes gets lost. Rutherford argues that knowledge of content can create a better learning environment because it engages students by piquing their curiosity. Student curiosity directs where the classroom is going, what the subject is doing for the students. If we as teachers aren't excited and knowledgeable about the content that we're trying to teach to students, they won't be excited and knowledgeable about it as well. The second main point of this book is skills for design. So basically knowing how to design your lessons and design the content that you now know to teach. The book provides a lot of different examples of things to incorporate into lesson plans and to make sure as part of your behavioral objectives and learning objectives. She provides examples of graphic organizers or discussion questions or even diversity, getting to know you type activities. And all these examples provided can really strengthen your own design skills to make stronger, more engaging lesson plans. The next point she makes is to make learning active, and this seems pretty self-explanatory. Don't just have lectures and have the students listening without participating. The students really need to be workers and not spectators, and this can be accomplished by noticing the difference in learners, their learning styles, multiple intelligences, learning preferences, noticing the diversity in your students. Another way would be to use their prior knowledge, know what the students already know or what they would like to know. That way they'll be more inclined to participate. And also to use formative assessment as a way to know what your students have learned already so they aren't relearning any information, and don't use formative assessment as like a punishment tool or discipline like homework or testing usually seems to be. Another way to make sure learning is active is to create a positive learning-centered environment instead of one based on control and compliance. This ensures that students are producing information, not just consuming information. This isn't really to say that as a teacher you shouldn't have any kind of classroom management skills or rules, but rather to involve the students more in those areas. Maybe they can help create the rules, um, and through this, students take control of their own learning. And the fourth point I took from this book is that we all need a method of organization. And Rutherford provides a lot of different tools and resources for planning. She provides different websites you can use or other books that might provide planning materials if you don't have a process in mind already. She also makes it obvious that we should start planning for the year as soon as it starts or before. The first day of schools are just as important as test days, so the planning should already be started at that point. One really important tip she gives on organization seems pretty obvious is knowing your standards. If you know the standards of the grade or subject that you're teaching, makes it that much easier to organize lesson plans and activities based on those standards. In this way, the focus can always be active learning. If organization's in check and planning's in check, then the other 3 points already made are that much simpler. If standards are being covered, you know that you can add in all the other stuff you need as far as directing student curiosity, making sure they're reaching that level of creativity, and that makes lessons active, keeps learning active. And organization also is important in knowing the content. If you're not organized, you're not going to have the time to learn the content or to learn new parts of the content you don't already know for the students. And so in a lot of ways, these 4 points are all connected. You really can't have one without the other. You can't really have design skills of lesson plans without the organization, and that's what makes learning active, and we as teachers need to know the content. So all 4 of these things are super connected, and you can find them throughout the book. And a lot of it is separated into chapters, such as like a chapter on planning instruction and one on making learning active, but throughout each one you see the other subjects pop up. And so 2 teaching strategies I took from this were to make the classroom a good place to learn, and there's several tips on things to try with struggling learners. As far as making the classroom a good place to learn, that means making it a place where students' basic emotional and academic needs are met and that they're being taught at a level at which they can learn. This is all part of making the best kind of classroom environment you can. And this is pretty obvious in the beginning about how the classroom should be more of a place of learning than of classroom management. Because if you're meeting these emotional and academic needs and making sure students are taught at a level which they can learn, then classroom management really takes care of itself. A good tip in making the classroom a good place to learn is making it a place where communication is practiced often. Communication with fellow students and with you as the teacher. As long as discussion's happening, then usually the learning is active and the classroom is managed. As far as what to do with struggling learners, there are a lot of tips on that, and they're divided up really easy to understand. There's a section on what to do with students who don't participate, and the best one I saw from that was to give choices. Give them A or B, don't make them do things. But there's also some tips on if reading is an issue for a student, if writing is an issue, things you can help them with. If their attention span's an issue, some self-monitoring strategies, persistence and completion, organization, all the things that might affect a student's learning. There are some tips you can try, such as using graphic organizers for students who can't pay attention to the lecture, etc. And so basically this book is just kind of a guidebook to make sure that you are a good teacher, you're doing the right things for your students, no matter what the subject, what the field. No matter if some of the strategies might seem kind of elementary in nature, they can be used in high school for sure, and vice versa. I felt that everything was laid out so clearly that all the tips in here were easy to use and extremely helpful in making sure that the classroom is a good place for students. And so, in conclusion, I think the most important thing I took from this book is that it is a necessity for all educators to believe in the capacity of all children to learn. So basically, if we believe in all students and help all students become active learners, they will learn and we will become successful teachers. Thanks.